In my last video, I talked about higher order functions, map, filter, and reduce. Those are functions that accept a function as parameter. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the reduce function. So the reduce function is a function that transforms from one data structure to another data structure. The usual example that you see for reduce is the sum. Let's see an example of that. So sum. So imagine that you have an array of 2, 3, 4, 7, and 6. And you want to get the total of that. So let's say that you start from 0 to sum everything. So this is the running total. So what you do is take your running total and sum it to the current element, which is pointed by the arrow. So we have 0 plus 2. So the running total is not this anymore, it's 2. So then we move to the next one, which is 3. So now we do running total, which is 2, plus the current element, which is 3. Okay, so now it would be 5. We then move to the next element, 4, and we do running total, which is now 5, plus the current element, which is 4. And so if we do this for every element in the array, we will get 2, plus 3, which is 5, plus 4, which is 9, plus 7, which is 16, plus 6, which is 22. So the sum would be 22. So let's see that in JavaScript. So we have an array of numbers. And yeah, let's use the same number, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 6. And we want to take the sum of that array. So we can do numbers dot reduce, and we pass reduce a function that accepts two parameters. First one is the running total, and the second one is the nth number. So to do what we did in our example, we just return total plus n. So this is the sum. And if we console log the sum, we see that it's 22. Let's see an implementation of our reduce function. So we can say that our reduce is a function that accepts an array, a function that we're going to call the reducer, and an accumulator. So our function will have to loop through all the elements of the array. So we will have to have a for loop I less than array.length I plus plus, and then inside the body of the array we reassign to the accumulator the result of calling the reducer onto the accumulator and the nth element, and then when we're done we return the accumulator. So let's see that in action. If we do console.log reduce, passing it numbers, our reducer, which is, as we did before, total, and total plus n, and then we specify the accumulator for the initial value, which is 0. So if we log this, we get 22 for both. Reduce can be used to move from one data structure to another. So we can use reduce to actually do map and filter. So let's see how we're going to do that. So let's comment this out, and also let's comment this one out. So we want to implement filter. Let's start from that using reduce, and we're going to use this reduce here, not the one that we just wrote, just for simplicity. So let's say that we want to extract all elements that are, all numbers that are greater than 5. So greater than 5. So greater, let's call it greater like that. We want to reduce our array of numbers, reduce. And here we have to pass a function that does just that. So the signature of the function will be the same. So this is the accumulator and this is the nth number. But it's going to change in the body. So in the body, what we want to do? We want to say that our accumulator this time will be an array because we want out an array. So all the elements that are greater than 5. So we will have 7 and 6. So an array containing 7 and 6. So we know that accumulator is going to be an array. So let's just start from the empty array. And what are we going to write in there? Well, if n is greater than 5, then accumulator is going to also contain that n. And in the end, we have to return the accumulator. So let's see this working. We have 7 and 5, 7 and 6, sorry, as we were saying. So we're actually using reduce. This time we are not going from an array to a single number, but we're going to go from an array to another array, potentially empty. So notice here I didn't write the starting value, but here I did. So whenever you don't specify the starting value, the reduce function will use the first element of the array as the initial value. So the accumulator in this case will start from 2. In this case, we start from the empty array. So let's see another example. We want to decrease all numbers in the array by 1. So let's do that. All elements minus 1. So let's call it minus 1. And again, we're going to reduce over the array. So numbers.reduce. And we're going to specify accumulator and the nth number. So what we have to do? We have to specify an initial value. So we specify the empty array as the starting value for the accumulator. Otherwise, it, as I said before, it would take the first element, but the first element would be a number. So we need the accumulator to be an array, so we can push elements into it. Well, we're going to push the nth element minus 1. So I'm actually mapping. So this is something that we would do using map, but this time we're doing it using reduce. And then we return the acc. So let's say that in action, minus 1. And so these are all the elements minus 1. So I'm actually mapping through the array using reduce. But notice a thing. We never change our reduce function. We just pass in a specific function that does the job for us, specifying what we have to do with the nth item. This is the power of reduce. So reduce is all about looping through an array and modifying the accumulator based on what the function that you pass is saying. So for example, in this scenario, the function that we specified is saying sum the total to the nth element. In this other example here, we are just saying push the current element into the accumulator if the current element is greater than 5. Or here, we are just saying decrease the current element by 1 and push that into the accumulator. So I'm passing every time the reduce function, but I am using a different reducer function. So this is the reducer function, that one that you pass to reduce. So just by changing that, I am having 3 different behavior, and this is the power of reduce and why it's great. And that's it.